Okay, welcome to Mimi's Kitchen. We're gonna do Thanksgiving this week, and we're gonna do two pies today. We're gonna do a pumpkin pie and an apple pie. So the first thing I usually do, and I do this usually the night before Thanksgiving, you're gonna gut sugar pumpkin. I left the guts there so you can see it. I put it in a pan with a little bit of water, and then I flip it over. And then I put foil on it and I cook it for about an hour. And the reason why I put the water in there because it keeps the pumpkin moist. And then we'll be right back. Okay, we're gonna do our vegan pie crust. So we're gonna start out with some flour, a little tiny bit of sugar, and a little tiny bit of salt. And with the vegan crust, we're gonna use the vegan butter. It does have to be cold, so I sliced it into these little cubes and we're gonna add it in. And then your shortening, you have to put in the refrigerator for about an hour as well, because vegan butter tends to melt a lot faster than regular butter, and you don't want that to happen. You want your crust nice and flaky. And I am actually making 3 9-inch pie crusts, so this is kind of large, but on the YouTube, it will have the 9-inch size pie. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your pastry cutter and you're gonna work it in. And once this is complete, I will show you the end results of it. So just keep working it, and then we'll be back. Okay, so I'm back. It's kind of coarse looking. You don't wanna handle it too much because like I said before, the vegan butter does tend to melt. And then you start adding ice cold water into it. So because I'm making a lot, I'm gonna add at least 3 tablespoons right now. And I usually just put a cup of water with some ice in it on the side. And I'm just gonna stir it up. And then you just wanna make it sticky. But you don't wanna make it too sticky. See how it's getting more clumped together. You still don't want it dry though. There's still too many dry spots in here. Okay, so it's getting closer to the end. So I'm gonna knead it a little bit, see if I need more. See, I don't know if you can see the consistency. It's starting to get flakier, lighter. That's how you want your crust. But you want it to stick in one ball. So I'm gonna see if it'll pick up. Okay, and then when you come back, I'm gonna divide this into 3 balls. 2 I'm gonna leave in the fridge because I'm not gonna use them right away. And then we'll work with 1 pie crust at a time. And we'll be back. Okay, now we're gonna roll out the vegan dough, the pie crust. So take a pie thing, sprinkle enough flour on there so when you pick it up, it won't break on you. So I usually just set it in the center. Sometimes you'll need a little bit on your rolling pin. And then just take your time rolling it. Okay, then once you reach your desired, I usually take a knife. That's what's nice about these little rings. And you just cut around. And you're gonna wanna make it way bigger than a 9-inch. And then the trick is to fold it in 4s to get it into your pie pan. It's the easiest way. So you'll lay it in your pie pan like this, fold it out, and then flip it, and then you can shape it in here however you want. And then you'll cut off the excess of it. This is going to be for our pumpkin pie. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing with the apple pie crust. And what I do towards the end is I actually put it in the freezer and then prep everything for the pie, the center of the pies. So my apple pie thing is really big, so I'm doing a lot more crust. All right, so we're going to do the same thing. Fold it, and then we're going to put it in the pie crust. This one I have to actually cut in rather than lay it over like I did on the pumpkin pie, because I'm actually going to add a crust on top. And there you go. So then we'll put it in the freezer for about a half an hour. This helps so it doesn't burn your crust, because they will be cooking for about an hour each pie. And then we'll be back. Okay, our pumpkins are done. They came out of the oven. You just start scraping out the center of it. I scraped out some already. And then we're gonna puree it in the food processor. If you don't have a food processor, it's a little bit harder. You have to mash it up. This is kind of a big sugar pumpkin, so I might not use it all, but it's really good with some butter and salt and pepper, all the extra. And I like to do it when it's still a little bit warm. It's a little easier to work with. Just make sure you don't get the outside of the pumpkin at all, just the very center of it. Okay, so I pureed the pumpkin pie. Not the actual pumpkin pie, the actual pumpkin. And I just did it in the food processor. I do have leftovers. I use about 2 cups per pie. If you have a little less, it'll still work. These are how they're all gutted out, these pie shells. And we'll be back to mix all the ingredients for it. Okay, now for the center of the pie, here's our pumpkin puree that we made. Usually on the side, I will do my sugars and all my spices. So this has brown sugar, nutmeg, allspice. It'll has a little bit of cloves in it. And then we're gonna dump it in and we're gonna mix that. I suggest using a hand mixer. It's a little bit easier. As you can see, it's nice, richly dark. All the spices and the sugar, and you can smell all the spices in there. Now we're gonna add our full fat coconut milk. Maple syrup. And again, this is a vegan style. So instead of eggs, we're adding cornstarch in there to thicken it up. And then we're gonna blend that. Okay, so I took the pie crust out of the freezer, and so we're gonna pour in, and it's always gonna look runny. Yeah, some of the brown sugar, it'll cook. And then I have a trick so that your pie crust on the outside doesn't get burnt. I usually will do foil and put them together. And then the last 10 minutes, you will take it off so the side, and I usually kind of curve it in. Sometimes you have to fold it a couple times for it to stay. You kind of want to do this. And then we'll put it in the oven for about an hour, and we'll take the foil off and cook it another 10 minutes. Okay, so I took the apple pie crust out of the freezer. I'm going to layer it, and you just take your apples and layer it in. Sometimes I put the smaller pieces in the middle. And then each layer you're gonna do this. You are going to sprinkle the sugar, flour, and spice mixture. And I usually like to sprinkle it over each apple. And then you take your vegan butter and just pinch it throughout, and you're going to do each layer just like that. Okay, so we're towards the end. We'll be right back. I'm going to show you, we're going to do the top crust. Okay, so we're going to cut out. I was able to roll out the crust. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. You're going to fold it, put it in the center of your pie. And then I'll have to cut a little bit. And then we're gonna tuck it in, and then I'll show you, we're gonna cut holes in that in just a little bit. Okay, we're back. You're gonna wanna take a little toothpick, and you need the air and the juices to come out a little bit. So I usually do about 3 or 4 of these. And then I'll make some little leaf designs and an apple design. All right, so some of the leaf designs are really easy to do. You just take the extra pie crust you have, and you just cut around like this. And I usually take a toothpick and go like this. You can really see it after it's done cooking. Just indent it a little bit. And then you add it on here. And then I'll show you how it looks after we're done. Okay, we finished our apple design. I had a little help with the apple. And then we're going to bake it for about an hour in the oven. And make sure that you put the foil up around it again so it doesn't burn. And then take it off the last 10 minutes. Okay, our wonderful pumpkin pie is done. You can see it's still a little jiggly. That's how you want it. And then you let it cool off before you cut into it. Okay, our apple pie and pumpkin pie is done. We'll see you back tomorrow. If you like the video, share, subscribe, click the like button. And we'll see you back tomorrow for our sweet potato with marshmallow topping.